Out to Shahid Bolson. Um, I'm going to enjoy this. So here we go. He said Zionism is just white supremacy in a yarmulke. It's like how you say Western colonization in Yiddish. No more, no less. Saxon X says, lol, the white supremacists just had a collective cringe moment. That was one response. Zionism is Jewish supremacy. Fix it for you. And Chad Wilson says, no, you didn't. You just activated the built-in blame shifting mechanism. Tano Sao Unchained says, Ashkenazi Jews are white. They're from Eastern Europe. They invented Zionism. There are also millions of Jews who are black, millions of Jews who are Arabs, or of other ethnicity, Asians, etc. This is the best explanation I've heard on this topic. And I guess he's trying to teach the poster a lesson. Stop blaming white people for Jewish behavior. If white people were as void of morality as Zionists, they wouldn't have had to spend so much time undermining America with propaganda, blackmail, regime change, free Palestine. Nothing's white in Zionism. Apart from geography, if white is Christian, Western culture, Zionism is the organism that fed from it, just like bacteria living inside its host. All right, so a number of people tried to correct him. So here's what he has to say.
I'm telling you, I did a post the other day, or yesterday, on X, where I said that Zionism is white supremacy with a yarmulke on, and that it's nothing but Yiddish for Western colonization. So, of course, I got a bunch of replies trying to correct me, saying that it isn't white supremacy, it's Jewish supremacy. See, this is them activating the built-in blame-shifting mechanism, which is the whole point. You're literally pointing to the yarmulke as the reason for all this, the reason for the occupation, the reason for the genocide. And I'm telling you that is exactly why they put the yarmulke on in the first place. But either you don't get it, or you don't want to get it, or you don't want anyone else to get it. You know, you somehow want to exonerate the actual architects, the actual funders, promoters, arms providers, financiers, policymakers, and so on, who are in fact responsible for Zionism, who are responsible for the occupation, who are responsible for the genocide. It's absolutely laughable to me. Like, you're strangling me, but you put a sock puppet on your hand. And you want me to actually believe that you're not the one strangling me, it's the sock puppet. This is an insult to my intelligence. Of course, I already know I'll get a bunch of comments of people saying that America is the puppet of the Zionists and not the other way around, because the Jewish lobby, which is not even in the top 20 highest spending lobbies in America, you think that that controls the politicians. This is a bad joke. As if America has to be forced at gunpoint or under threat of Epstein blackmail to support occupation and genocide. The country literally founded on genocide. The country that wiped out the Native Americans, massacred Mexicans, massacred Filipinos, occupied Afghanistan for 20 years, still has occupation forces in Iraq, occupied and colonized Hawaii and Puerto Rico, you know, supports Paul Kagame, who's implicated in the events that led to the genocide in Rwanda. And through him, they support M23, which massacres the people in DRC. What are you talking about? America killed directly or indirectly 10 million civilians in my lifetime, in Central America, South America, Asia, Africa, the Middle East, and so on. Now you pretend like they have to be forced against their will, against their character, to support the occupation of Palestine and the genocide in Gaza. This is their character. That yarmulke is only on there for plausible deniability. You'll say, oh yeah, but the Jews impose apartheid and segregation and unequal rights. But you mean like every Western colonial project ever? And look, Jewish. What Jewish? 65 to 70% of all so-called Jews in Israel are atheists. I mean, half of all so-called Jews on earth don't believe in God. So if you go by religious definition, that means maybe 2.5 million Israelis are even Jewish by religion. 2.5 million out of 7.2 million. What Jewish? And ethnically, about 45% of Israelis, Israeli so-called Jews, are Ashkenazi, which means that they're from European heritage, not Semitic. That's around 3.8 million out of 7.2 million. So if you subtract the non-Semitic,
Okay, before you go there, pause. He said something. I want to make it abundantly clear. A lot of the Ashkenazi Jews They weren't Jews before. They converted. So a lot of them took on, that's why they have European names, but they may have Jewish first names. It's because a lot of them are converts from Khazaria. Khazaria was located somewhere in between Ukraine, I believe somewhere in Ukraine. So they're more Ukrainians. They're Europeans. They were converted to Judaism. This is very important. They lived in Europe for a very long time because they were Europeans. And remember, genealogy is passed through the father, not the mother. So a lot of the Ashkenazi Jews were Jews that married Europeans, even if they have a little semblance of Jewish blood in them. Okay, let's roll this back a little bit. It's very important to understand that some of the people, at least genetically speaking, the genealogy does not stem back to Palestine. This is very important to understand. Okay.
So if you go by religious definition, that means maybe 2.5 million Israelis are even Jewish by religion. 2.5 million out of 7.2 million. What Jewish? And ethnically, about 45% of Israelis, Israeli so-called Jews, are Ashkenazi, which means that they're from European heritage, not Semitic. That's around 3.8 million out of 7.2 million. So if you subtract the non-Semitic, non-religious from the so-called Jews of Israel, you're only going to be left with something like 1.2 to 1.4 million actual Jews in Israel. Actual Jews means Semites who believe in and follow Judaism. 1.2 out of 7.2 million. That means literally 6 million white European atheists occupying Palestine and committing genocide. So do you see why this is nothing but white supremacy and Western colonization? Don't be a fool. They just want to label it Jewish so that when the time comes, they can disassociate themselves from it and put it all on the so-called Jews. That little black cap, that yarmulke.
This perspective is so revealing because for those of you who actually practice Judaism, for those of you who actually believe in the Torah and in the actual customs of the Torah, these non-Jews, these atheists, these Europeans are actually anti-Semitic because they are really taking you down and your culture and your religion. They're destroying it. This is the point he's making, which is very powerful. That's why you have Jewish Voices for Peace and all kinds of things saying not in our name, because the real practitioners of Judaism, and even the atheistic Jews in America and around the world, they don't want to be associated with this. This is really going to fuck them up because they're going to be the scapegoats for this. And the most anti-Semitic thing that could possibly be happening right now in real time, and I just had to do this because this is so great. So basically, white supremacists, it's not even Jews, white supremacists, it's white supremacism, which is going on in the Middle East. And he's been able to expose it before our very eyes. That's why Donald Trump is cool with this shit. Because it's the same thing he's implementing in the United States of America. It's white supremacism. And Elon Musk is one of them. We're now able to see the through line. Zionists and anti-Semites are one and the same. That's why these Jews worked along with Adolf Hitler. I wouldn't be surprised that they were cool with throwing other Jews under the fire. Under the fire. Do you know even that Jews actually were operating with the Nazis as well? Some of them were actual Nazis. It's crazy. I mean, it's just crazy. Hitler was part Jewish anyway. Let's just get crazy. Let's just get crazy. But they're really Europeans, okay? All right, let's shoot it. Keep it going.
It's just marking who's going to take the fall. And believe me, when the time comes, you're going to see them swipe that cap off so fast it'll make your head spin. Or you'll probably see Ben Shapiro move to Utah and become a Mormon. Most so-called Jews today in the world don't believe in God. And like 80% of the global so-called Jewish population is not from Bani Israel. So as far as any Muslim is concerned, these people are not Jews. They're not Ahl al-Kitab. They're just European kuffar who believe in Western colonization, Western colonialism, and white supremacy, period. I did a post the other day or yesterday.
What he just said there was so exposing, so blatant. And I'm not saying that they're not Ashkenazi Jews who are not pushing for peace and for Palestine to be free. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying Israelis are not pushing for that. But to call these people Jews, and Judaism is a religion, and most of them genealogically they stem from Jewish background, but they don't practice the religion. They're not even Jews. You know, here's the biggest joke. Benjamin Malikowski, who is a European guy, who his family, I guess, converted to Judaism. But Mr. Benjamin Milikowski is not a Jew. He does not practice Judaism. He quotes the Bible. He does not quote the Torah. If anything, his allegiance is to Christianity. Make that make sense, people. So while I don't agree with him on the AIPAC issue, because AIPAC is clearly controlling Congress right now, and they have had a lot of control over it. And we've delved into the history of how these world wars even happened. What I do agree with him is it's within America's character to support their outpost in the Middle East, because it's American imperialism. And by extension, Western imperialism. You know, Britain still works with America to carry out its will, and then the rest of the Europe, they side with America because it's Western imperialism that you're looking at, and Israel represents that. And we're seeing the ugly face of that now blatantly in public, and we're seeing the ugly face of it in America, where Donald Trump is trying to push away democracy. He's trying to push away socialism, and he's trying to bring his new breed of one ruler, one power sort of country, where he and Elon and, you know, all of the pro-Israel scribes, because we're not hearing the Democrats pushing back against this. Not hearing Nancy Pelosi or any of those people in Washington, D.C. pushing against the measures that Donald Trump is taking. So I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this explicitly and clear. We're really going up against white supremacism. That is the thing that's dying, and they're now trying to use force. They're trying to use control to shut down and silence people. They're trying to target individuals, but you can't target individuals. All you are doing is stirring up the pot even more. The too many of us in the world, whether it's the global south or Europe or wherever, the peoples of the world now are standing up against their governments. I feel so privileged to be in this time in the world where I am seeing this phenomenon happening. The people are taking back the power that they've always had. And it's about time they did so. But it's always to have information, to be informed about what is happening. And Shahid Bulsum is contributing to that beautiful archive of information that is necessary. He's also putting things in perspective. Shout out to him. I shout out to my Muslim brothers all the time. They educate us on all kinds of things. Shout out to my other Christian brothers and brothers of all faiths who have been able, I've gone through your archives, I've learned a thing or two about life and so on. Shout out to the people of Palestine. Thank you. You've given us a gift. I thank Hamas. I'm going to say thank you to Hamas publicly on here, because of Hamas, we'll be able to know all of this stuff that's going on now. And we couldn't connect everything together. And Hamas has just pretty much kind of blown the whole thing open. And there's no turning back. There's no turning back. If there's going to be a brave new world, it's going to have to be with the people. The people are going to have to say on this. We had the Arab Spring, but we're about to have something even more spectacular. The problem is we cannot depend on people we elect into power to lead us. We have to take the initiative now. We have to take back the power from them. Donald Trump is just a puppet. We need to take back the power from him and all those other people. And we need to try and implement the measures we need to see for the better future. We, the people, we provide the raw materials. We provide the money. We provide the labor. We provide the political will. We have all the power, all the tools at our disposal, and it's time for us to take a stand and to fight. We are the military. We are the health workers. We are the business people. We are the teachers, the lawyers, the plumbers, the construction workers. We are them. We are the ones that provide the expertise. We are the ones that provide the direction. The world will go on without these people in charge. It will go on with us taking it into our hands. And I just feel so glad and appreciative to see each person contributing in a significant way to the forward motion that is necessary to combat this tyranny that these wicked people who have a lot of amassed money and amassed influence have chosen to turn against the people who have given them these things and try to destroy them. So shout out to everybody. Power to the people. I'm out.